think that's been the value of the HRO program to identify that we're the same principles and the same means of looking at things are applicable across a wide variety of disciplines. But the conferences like this are most valuable, I think, for making so people realizing that the terminology is the same, particularly when the Professor Weick and Professor Roberts, who have tried to do books and publications on the subject, have tried to be very careful in making sure that we're all talking about the same thing.
That HRO is not about a particular technique. It's about a set of principles and some theory and some practices and some good stories about how organizations really succeed. So if you're just beginning, the more people you can go out in different areas and talk to and ask them about how they came to understand it, how they came to develop a model for themselves, the more likely then you'll be able to go out and create a model that works for you rather than trying to adopt somebody else's and make it fit your organization, because I think we've all found that that just doesn't work.
I think interactions with other folks and a deeper understanding of what high reliability is all about and what it means to them and what applicability it might have to other endeavors.
Words alone, stories are not enough. So what we do is to visit other places in nearby the Netherlands or in the Netherlands that have some HRO principle or some mindful organizing in place, and then well, people start to look for themselves with their own eyes on what is different from their own organization. It is what we often do as a starter for a process to become more mindful or higher or reliable, is to use an incident and a thing that really went wrong as a learning case. So that's not always easy, because people do not want to learn from negative things. That's the starting basic attitude. They want to learn from things that are positively. But then I ask them always, do you want to be operated by a specialist who only learned from his successes, or do you want to be operated by a specialist that also learned from his failures? And then they agree that failure also could be a very interesting opportunity to learn from what went wrong and why did it went wrong.
I find that these multi-industry conferences are very valuable because every one I go to, I learn more about how to do it better in my industry. So my industry is transportation, but there are other industries represented here: nuclear power and petroleum refining and healthcare, and all those industries. One size doesn't necessarily fit all, but there are a lot of commonalities, and I find that I can learn from other industries how to do it better in our industry.
The biggest thing I would say, as kind of shown by this conference right here, is just getting people to talk about, I guess, what I would say the various organizational challenges that they happen to have. What we have found out that we're a nuclear weapons facility, but a lot of the challenges aren't the technology, it's the organization or the people issues. And what I'm kind of gleaning about this conference right here, whether it be medical, educational, or for our business, nuclear weapons, so to speak, a lot of people are faced with the same kinds of organizational issues and challenges, same kinds of mistakes. And when you start comparing these issues, you start realizing there's a lot of commonality between organizations, which is good from the standpoint that you realize it's not your organization alone having the problems. The difficult thing is that it's an organizational issue across the whole world, which makes it a much more difficult problem to solve. And by having, I guess, the interchange of ideas from different kinds of businesses or organizations, you start realizing the fact that it is a kind of a common problem. And what I'm seeing so far, the terminology people use is a little bit different, but you can tell by the concepts they're very similar. And so when you start realizing the fact that people have the same kind of issues and with the same kind of concepts that you happen to have, then finding, I guess, a common ground to find solutions is kind of a neat way of going about doing it.
Question everything. Absolutely. Absolutely question everything. Because, you know, I start my presentation with that. I'm one speaker up here, and I'm going to give you my spin on something. This is the way I see it, okay? It's not the way the world sees it. It's the way I see it. And I think that if you don't question me, there's something wrong. If you don't question everybody, there's something wrong. And all these things should stand the test of that questioning.
I think one key message is we all have scarce resources to improve the safety and reliability of our operations, and we can learn from each other even more than we already do. I have the advantage at being at the National Transportation Safety Board of sharing those lessons across modes between aviation and railroad and maritime and highway and pipeline, and can take advantage of that experience of cross-modal sharing there to do cross-industry sharing. So that would be my one lesson, is let's learn from each other to use our scarce resources more effectively.
That you don't engineer a socio-technical organization, that it is people learning together, experimenting together, learning from those experiments, and that people achieve safety, people achieve performance. Systems don't do it for you. Systems are a roadmap. Procedures are a roadmap. They're tools. And oftentimes, because we're so technical in so many of our organizations, we lose sight of that fundamental fact and place primary reliance on the tools as opposed to the people. So it's that mindset that I hope they take away from the comments I made yesterday.
So I hope that people take away from our, not from me only, but also from the other colleagues, the message of try to go, in the end, go down to the basic attitudes, behavioral patterns, interaction patterns in the organization, and there try to develop, to change that a little bit.
How to establish trust within the organization, then values, how to communicate or exchange information so that everyone in the organization understands that they're important or has a sense of value, and then finally to how to manipulate or gain information during that exchange of information from the senior down to the junior. And I believe that those three elements really lead you to the other principles of HRO.
Hopefully they'll be challenged to realize that there's a lot of people struggling with the same issues, but there's also been a lot of success in the same issues. I mean, the true high reliability organizations, the HROs, have a superb history of very effective, safe, operation ready, mission accomplished records in a real complex environment. And with knock wood, really super safety records. I think we're now broadening out into other industries where we haven't seen that great improvement in safety in the last 20, 30 years, such as healthcare and patient safety issues.